Story 1. Romania. Many people believe we have vampires, but in my 700 years of living here, I have not seen one. I asked my friends back in the castle, and they have not seen any either, and they have been around longer than I have. Story 2. Welsh people do not engage in inappropriate behavior with animals. While temptation may exist, the consequences make it unwise. Story 3. No, Italians are not all short, black-haired, overweight mobsters who wear wine-stained tank tops and flat caps. We are loud, though. Story 4. Iceland was not named as part of a conspiracy to keep people away. The name comes from the fact that early settlers arrived during summer and then suffered heavy losses of livestock and people once winter came and icebergs filled the fjords. It was more of a warning than anything else. Greenland, on the other hand, was probably named to sound more hospitable. Story 5. Kenyans are long-distance runners, mainly from one community called the Kalenjin, which makes up about 15% of the population. Kenya is still a developing nation with significant poverty, but there is also modern architecture. The country is ranked 18th out of 100 on the English Proficiency Index. You can apply for a special and rarely granted permit for your bobcat named Babu. However, keeping wildlife is uncommon. The Kenya Wildlife Service conducts regular visits to ensure Babu is not kept in poor conditions. Story 6. People generally assume that when you are from Belgium, you are French-speaking. While a large part of the country is French-speaking, the majority of the population is Flemish, which is Dutch-speaking. I attribute this mainly to 3 factors. People mainly visiting Brussels, which is bilingual but has a French-speaking majority. Americans mostly having been stationed in the French-speaking part during World War II. Hercules Poirot. Story 7. Greece is not only beaches and islands, it also has beautiful places for the winter. Many mountains and mainland attractions offer something interesting in every corner. Story 8. That crumpets and tea make you posh. I can get 9 crumpets for £1 from my local Asda. Far from posh. Story 9. The myth is that everyone here is always drunk on vodka, people all ride bears, play balalaikas, and dance the kazachok, and that we are either drunk or mad. 1. While there is a problem with alcoholism, many people do not drink, especially not vodka. 2. Bears do appear, but very rarely. People who ride bears or have them as pets are considered unusual by other Russians. 3. The balalaika is nearly extinct. I know only one person who plays it. 4. We dance the kazachok only ironically at this point. 5. We are not always mad. We are just people with emotions. Ashankas are great and warm, so people do wear them, but not all of them. Also, we are not all superhumans. The replies from people who went to Russia and liked it are very heartwarming. Story 10. All of our country consists of weed and red districts. Yes, we have these things, but the Netherlands has a lot of culture. Story 11. Many people confuse different European countries. For Switzerland, people often think of Sweden. It is similar for Belgium and Belarus, as well as Slovakia and Slovenia. Story 12. That everyone still harbors resentment against Americans, the French, or the Japanese. You get the point. I have actually never met anyone here who held such grudges. It is pretty inspiring, actually. I can probably learn a lot from that. Story 13. The claim that the Irish are the biggest drinkers in the world is completely false and unfair. We are only the second highest consumers of alcohol globally, but we hope to achieve first place next year. Story 14. Leprechauns are real. We are a nation of alcoholics. This may actually be true. Story 15. All Germans have some secret knowledge of the Second World War they would love to share. I always found that interesting when I lived in London, especially English people over 40, who would ask me about some first-hand experience of the war. Keep in mind that not even my parents were born at that time. The fact is, we know the same as you do from history classes and other sources. Story 16. The phrase "shrimp on the Barbie" originated from an advertising campaign aimed at appealing to Americans. It remains the most successful tourism campaign to date. However, no one in Australia actually uses that expression. Story 17. Everyone drinks maple syrup. There are moose everywhere, and people say sorry all the time. Story 18. If someone says, "Isn't Ireland part of the United Kingdom though?" one more time, edit. To all you smartass who replied with the words in the quotation marks, I hate you because you are hilarious. Story 19. Brazil is a vast tropical jungle where people do not speak Spanish. Brazil has several major cities and diverse environments. Sao Paulo, for example, is a large sprawling metropolis with a population comparable to New York and Los Angeles combined. In some southern parts of the country, it occasionally snows. Brazil was a Portuguese colony, so the official language is Portuguese. Story 20. Everyone plays soccer and knows how to dance samba. There are monkeys in the streets. The capital is Rio de Janeiro. Story 21. Dracula is often depicted as living in Transylvania. While he was imprisoned there for a while, he was actually the ruler of Wallachia, another historic Romanian province that neighbors Transylvania to the south. As for the rumor that we are vampires, I neither confirm nor deny this statement. Thank you for the awards, friends. Story 22. People think British people are either stiff upper lip public school boys or Cockney bricklayers and football hooligans. There is a whole world of people in between. Some of us do not even like football. One of my friends does not even drink tea. I am not sure why she is my friend, to be honest. Story 23. French people do shower. We are not in the 1700s anymore. Also, French women do shave. Some may not, but this is more about personal choice and a general trend of more women worldwide choosing not to shave, unrelated to their Frenchness. We do eat frogs and snails, though. Story 24. Oh, so much. According to popular opinion, I should be a weed-smoking, clog-wearing tulip farmer living in a windmill. Can you guess where I am from yet? Story 25. It is socially acceptable to call people inappropriate names among friends. You may get away with it with your mates, but you will probably get into trouble if you use such language toward the wrong person in public. Also, it is possible to be arrested for using offensive language in public under certain circumstances. Story 26. Nigeria. Everyone here is involved in scamming people. Story 27. Not exactly a myth, but a decent number of people still think that Czechoslovakia exists. It split apart in 1993. We are the Czech Republic, not Czechoslovakia anymore. To make it clear, the Czech Republic, also known as Czechia, and Slovakia are two different countries. For your information, Slovakia and Slovenia are also two different countries. They are not even neighboring countries. This discussion has grown really big. Thank you all for your comments and for the awards. Sorry that I am not commenting anymore, but I cannot keep up with this pace. Story 28. The only thing we care about is rugby, and we all live in hobbit holes. I, for one, am absolutely terrified of rugby, but I am a New Zealander. Story 29. I had to tell my little cousins in the United Kingdom that no, unfortunately, we do not ride kangaroos to school and work every day. Story 30. We roam with wild animals such as lions and rhinoceroses, have no cities, live in huts, and are all poor and malnourished. Story 31. Woo. Singaporean here. 1. No, we are not part of China. We are not even in the same region. Yes, the population is 60% ethnically Chinese, but that does not make us part of China any more than it makes the United States part of Britain. As a matter of fact, there is a problem of racism against mainland Chinese, since locals tend not to see them as true Singaporeans. This is worsened by the fact that many mainland Chinese are quite pro-China, including human rights violations, while the local Chinese do not like China and the Chinese Communist Party very much. We are closer culturally to Taiwan. 2. It is not illegal to be naked inside your own home. You can be naked while bathing or having sex if you like. You just cannot use "I am in my own home" as a defense against streaking or showing everyone your private parts. 90% of the population live in government apartments, and we do not need people flashing their genitalia through their windows. This law came about because people were flashing their genitalia through their windows. Singapore used to have a big flashing problem back in the 1980s. Times were strange. 3. It is not illegal to chew gum, only to import, sell, or bring it onto the trains. This is because people used to literally gum up the train doors and make everyone late for work. The government tolerated it for a few months and then said no more gum for everyone. This is why we cannot have nice things. For the government does not fine people for every little offense anymore. They used to, but enforcement has become lenient in the last 2 decades. Sadly, this means there is a lot of litter where the streets used to be pristine. Still, you might not want to litter or spit right in front of a police officer. Story 32. When I started dating my now wife, who is from Oklahoma, she informed me that her friends and family were convinced that Canadians did not have ice or toilet paper. They wanted her to ask me about it because they were confused by that. I had never laughed so hard. I mean, it is Canada. We have ice 70% of the year, basically. Story 33. There are more than 2 accents in the United Kingdom. It is not just Cockney and the Queen's English. Story 34. Anytime I travel outside of the United States or have a conversation with a foreigner, they automatically assume all Americans follow the National Basketball Association. I cannot even name 3 active players. Story 35. We all knew Steve Irwin. Sure, we have all shared many bush chicken tinnies with old mate Steve down at the local. Story 36. We are all rude if you do not speak French. We do not shower or shave regularly. We all like wine, cheese, and baguette. France can be summarized by Paris. Story 37. Sweden is not a socialist paradise. It is neither socialist nor a paradise, though it is a nice country to live in except for the weather. Story 38. The image most people outside of Europe have of Austria. Do you really think that we are always wearing traditional leather shorts and alpine dresses? That we all live in the Alps and yodel from one mountain hill to another to stay in touch with our neighbors? Actually, that would be pretty great, to be honest. Story 39. Australian here. Glad you asked. Everyone thinks it is extremely dangerous that spiders, drop bears, snakes, feral cats, and dogs will attack you every time you step outside. The truth is that unless you act foolishly and provoke a snake or spider, you will be fine. Battle echidnas, dervish spiders, saltwater crocodiles, and drop bears do not live in suburbia. You need to go into the bush to even see a lizard, which usually leaves as soon as a person walks nearby. People, save your money. Enjoy the show. Thank you. Story 40. Update. Thanks for the awards. Everyone. You are a funny bunch. I also found out that I am not only Scottish but apparently Irish too. Yay! We are all redheads who dislike the English and run among the hills in our kilts, shouting freedom. Story 41. Indians do not speak English. I was once asked how I am so good at English, as if we are not the second largest English-speaking country. Story 42. We are all tech scammers and like eating cow dung. Guess which country? Story 43. In Brazil, you can get robbed at gunpoint virtually everywhere you go. Oh wait, that is true. Story 44. That Canadians are inherently nice and tolerant. We are not. Many are rude and ignorant. Story 45. Somehow, some people think that Brazilians speak Spanish and only like soccer and carnival. The soccer and carnival part is mostly true, but Spanish? Really? Story 46. Many still believe chewing gum is banned in Singapore and that if you are caught with it, you would be caned. The reality is that in the 1990s, chewing gum was completely banned, but today only selling it is illegal. Dental chewing gum is also allowed in Singapore. Story 47. Everyone in Japan works long hours and often lacks enough time or energy for the things they want to do. People in Japan work longer hours on average than those in mainland Europe, but they work fewer hours than people in the United States, so that claim is false. Story 48. That we are hungry. Edit. Alright, it looks like I should have specified that I am talking about Hungary. Story 49. I have never seen a mime in Paris. To all the people who say they have seen a mime in Montmartre, Champ de Mars, or Champs-Élysées when they were in Paris, yes, if you go to the most tourist places in the city, you might see some of them trying to scam tourists. What I mean is that when you actually live there, they are not a normal thing to come across. Story 50. Germans all wear traditional leather shorts called lederhosen, except during Oktoberfest or the festival, where it is a rare sight. Story 51. We eat pasta every day. Or is it? We eat pizza every Saturday as a ritual. Story 52. Germany during World War II is a highly sensitive topic, and many people tend to avoid discussing it. I have had several American exchange students here in Germany ask me if I knew about Adolf Hitler and the National Socialist German Workers' Party regime. They seem to expect me to respond with surprise and request information about my own history. This misunderstanding appears to arise from the prohibition of the Nazi salute in Germany, which exists for reasons different from what they assume. Story 53. A surprising number of people, mostly tourists, believe that the hoop snake is real, given the lethality of Australian wildlife. Story 54. Not all Australians drink Foster's beer. On the contrary, it is one of the least sold beers in Australia and tastes unpleasant. Story 55. That we all have the same accent or sound the same way when we speak. People watch a lot of British television and assume we all speak in received pronunciation or like Londoners, when there is a pretty broad range of accents here in the United Kingdom. Northern or Midlands accents are very different from those in the South, and do not even get me started on Welsh, Scottish, or Irish accents. Story 56. We are not all overweight people wearing Old Navy American flag t-shirts and khaki shorts. Only about 60% of us. This is kind of a joke. I do not know the real percentage. However, there are people in my family who I love that wear this exact look. I have not owned a flag t-shirt, but I am a bit overweight and think I still have a pair of khaki cargo shorts at the bottom of a drawer somewhere. So never mind, I do not take it back. Story 57. There is no cream in carbonara. Edit. I wrote an Italian-approved recipe in the comments. Story 58. Brazil has a high crime rate, and many areas are covered by forest. Story 59. The whole world seems to think that Germany is a place run by very smart, efficient, and hardworking people. The truth is that there are few relevant innovations coming from here. We have missed the jump into the new era because of stubborn and conservative structures and ideas. The once high-quality label "Made in Germany" is not worth much anymore. It might still be better than some cheap products from other countries, but it is still built to break. Story 60. The Netherlands is often called Holland, but Holland is only a part of the Netherlands. We are the inventors of the tulip. Turkey did not invent the flower. Story 61. Bad teeth when in reality up to the age of 18 we have free dental care. Story 62. We speak Spanish. We have Spanish loanwords, and one of our 120 languages is a Spanish Creole, but the majority of the population does not and never has spoken Spanish. Story 63. Many people think Turkey is a desert. We ride camels, we speak Arabic, and they say we will be attacked because we are non-Muslim. After all, 10 to 20% of Turkey's population is non-Muslim. Story 64. People think Dracula is a vampire, but in real life, he was just a Romanian count who is famous for impaling many people. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.